Welcome to Not Just Ads, the show where B2B brands discover how creator-led content drives pipeline, builds trust, and grows long-term brand equity. Each episode, we speak with business leaders, founders, and creators who are defining their categories. I'm your host, Marcus Sherwin, and this is the Creator Economy for B2B. Hello and welcome today to Not Just Ads, the Creator Economy for B2B. Today, I'm delighted to be joined by Gamze Karsli. Gamze has a number of years' experience across a number of well-known cybersecurity companies. She leads marketing currently in the cybersecurity space at FileOrbis. And I'm really excited to be joined by her today. I'm really looking forward to getting into this particular category. I think it's a space that's expanding quite a lot. There's a lot of interest around cybersecurity now for B2B. So I'm delighted to have her joined on the show today to talk about that. Gamze, thank you very much for joining us on the show.
Thanks, Marcus, for the introduction and for having me at your show. It's great to be here with you.
Great. Maybe you could walk us back a little bit. Just before we hit record, you were telling me about, the Middle East and how everything is changing there. And, you travel to different cities within the region and it's like within a couple of months, it's just transformed. But maybe you could talk a little bit before that in terms of how you got into marketing, where you're based and what you've seen the changes, whether that's in marketing, but also in the environment as well of where you're based. I believe you're based in Dubai, right?
Back and forth, Dubai versus Ankara. Currently, I'm in Ankara, but last week I was in Doha. So I've been traveling to the region a lot. So very interestingly, I started my career as an entrepreneur. So I started in the tourism digitalization. I used to do an Airbnb-like business back in 2009.
Right.
And like 3-4 years, I led that business. And afterwards, I realized that I should be doing this within a company, running my own company. So my character was like being an entrepreneur inside of another company. So I worked as business development and marketing at the same time in different companies. It was like I started with gaming. And until 2018, I jumped into cybersecurity. Because I've done a lot of marketing for different companies like e-commerce and gaming, and I have seen the amount of data used unrespectfully, and I decided to learn more about data privacy, how to protect personal identity, how to limit the things that we should be exposing or we should be keeping for ourselves. And that's why I jumped into cybersecurity in 2018. And it was a startup called Atar Labs, and we luckily exited Atar Labs to Micro Focus in 2020 in the middle of pandemic. And afterwards, I spent some time in Micro Focus as product marketing manager for our cybersecurity portfolio, Security Operations Center. And then I realized that I'm a startup girl. I returned back to a startup company, which is right now in Series A. And for the last 8 years, I'm doing marketing for cybersecurity.
Great. Yeah, you've had a really interesting career because, sometimes you have people that are like in corporate and then they decide to branch out and start something themselves, but you've done the reverse. I'd love to get a bit like what were encourage you to say to yourself, like, look, actually, I have my skill set and I know what my skill set is and I'd actually prefer to be part of a company versus running something myself. Was there like something that happened over time in terms of you just realized that it was like, I can focus on this particular skill set? Or was it like an opportunity came along and you were like, you know what, this makes sense at the moment? Or what were like kind of the drivers that drove you from kind of like running your own thing versus seeing your impact then in an organization?
I have a huge impact to the founders because I've been there, and being a founder is a very big responsibility from just different angles. So I realized that even though I'm a good marketer, I'm good at business development and sales, I'm not that much good at finance and running a business. It's another skill set. And if you're a founder, you need to have that skill set. So that's where I realized that I should be using or leveraging those skills of mine, which is marketing, business development, and sales inside a company other than running a company. So it was like understanding yourself, knowing your skills and matching that with your career path.
Yeah, and I think that's really powerful though, because if you have the self-awareness to know what you're good at and what your skill set is, that's very attractive for an employer or for an organization. And I think probably the experience that you learn in terms of founding something yourself, the multiple hats that you have to wear in terms of like jobs and so on. I guess going into a startup then or going into a company, it's probably like this is not less pressure, but you know what I mean? Like, it's like, okay, I just concentrate on this. I'm really good at this. I can execute this. Whereas when as a founder, it's like there's a lot of variables and you're wearing many different hats. It's more chaotic, I suppose.
Yes, yes, yes. It's very hard to do that. And I work very closely with the founders and CEO, and I can see the pressure on their shoulder. And I can see that they are like, you see just one person at the front as a
Yeah.
founder, but there are many others at the behind, and he has to or she has to split into different parts, and he should carry different hats. And that's something I was not able to manage, and I realized it, and I wanted to just focus on that particular
Yeah.
part.
Yeah. And so since then you were in gaming, you mentioned before cybersecurity. And that period, like roughly when were you in gaming, around like kind of the mid, say 2014 or no?
Yes, 14, 15,
Yeah.
16, that
So
time frame.
you were there at kind of like the spike of like the affiliate marketing of like kind of mobile and all that, I imagine, no?
Programmatic marketing, affiliate
Yes.
marketing.
Yeah.
So digital was skyrocketing, the social media was like skyrocketing, and we were able to use every and each data that we are able to reach out to
Yeah.
convert people. So it was like a mind-blowing era of marketing, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. I joined a company in Barcelona in 13, and it was just at the time of like kind of mobile affiliate marketing. And we had some people in the team that actually left to set up their affiliate business, but they were even saying like at that time it was kind of, the affiliate companies or the product owners would pay out on an install and it would be great and you would just like kind of optimize the traffic and so on. But obviously then it matured and it was more then about like, right, it has to be installed for a period of time. And then they started taking media buying in-house. And I think it's interesting because as every kind of cycle like that, you see how there's like this big buzz around it. It's kind of like the gold rush. But then as it plateaus, you can kind of see that it's like, right, okay, the buzz has kind of got rid of it, but there's still some value there. There's still some of the key players that are there. And I suppose there's probably some parallels with now what we see with like maybe even AI to some extent. We're at the very early stages of that, and obviously the investments are more. But do you see, like, when you look at like kind of cybersecurity now and AI, and do you see any parallels in terms of from that period of time in mobile marketing as well?
Yes, it was like an hype at that time. So to me, it was like first internet and then mobile and then now AI. They are like all revolutions at their own time. And I see a similar thing in AI, but AI is going to change the world just like internet did, but in a very rapid way. And it's actually changing the way that we are spending our day. Even we start our day, we do plan our day and we execute stuff. So there are a lot of parallel stuff. The only thing that is different right now with AI is it's super fast. The adoption to AI is also super fast. So we have seen people had difficulties with adapting to internet, adapting to mobile, adapting to anything else. But for AI, the adoption is very, very
Yeah. Yeah, of course. And I suppose there's so many practical ways that it can be implemented into workflows, a lot of stuff even on the back end of like how it can speed up the process for admin, things like that. But I'd love to talk to you a little bit about where you currently are in terms of you joined the cybersecurity sector, like back you mentioned in 2018.
Mhm.
But maybe you could talk to me just in terms of your role, like from a marketing perspective, how you see cybersecurity as being maybe different from a marketing point of view, and how you kind of focus on your buying committee from in cybersecurity. In terms of, you mentioned before as well about like kind of the tonality in terms of how you speak to the audience around cybersecurity. Maybe you could just share a little bit more with us around that and kind of where you see the future in marketing in cybersecurity.
Okay, let me first start with this thing. When I started my career in cybersecurity, I had a decent experience in marketing, but when I landed to the job, I felt like I just landed to another planet because everything was different. So I need to learn a lot of stuff. I thought I know marketing, but I need to change the way I approach the marketing because I met with guys and ladies super smart, and they are super smart, so that they can easily understand whether you are trying to sell something to them or
Yeah.
whether you're trying to deliver a value to them. So this is a very important split between marketing in cybersecurity and marketing in other stuff. So you need to understand their challenges, needs, and the mindset of those people so that you can communicate to them. So it took around 1 year of mine to understand the domain, at least learn the basics of cybersecurity so that I can talk at the same language with the guys who I am supposed to do marketing to.
Yeah.
So, there are the words are very different. For example, instant response, threat intelligence, security operation. Those were the words were like rocket science to me. So I first of all did go and try to understand those people, try to understand what they are doing in their daily life, what sort of a day they wake up to, what is their priorities, and what sort of emotions they are facing throughout the day. So I have done a lot of surveys. I have done a lot of one-on-ones with the customers, with the sales people, with the pre-sales people, technical people, to understand their mindset first. And then I had a better understanding of their morale and motivation and my audience. So that was the starting point, and I think that is the main difference of doing marketing in cybersecurity versus other industries. I'm saying this because I have done marketing in e-commerce, in gaming, and in other industries as well. So it was easier for me to communicate to my persona in those industries, but for cybersecurity, it's very hard. I'm saying this because when I was working in Atar Labs, there was a landscape, cybersecurity landscape, and there were more than 1,000 different vendors who are saying exactly the same thing. We are providing cyber resiliency to the enterprises. 1,000 different vendors, and they are all saying the same thing. But the question is how? So doing marketing in cybersecurity is addressing this how question in terms of your solution and your product.
Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? Because it's like you mentioned there, the amount of companies in cyber in the sector, and then I guess you have categories and subcategories and so on. But in your opinion, like when you gain that trust then and you talk to different people in the space, different people in the buying committee, like what ways would you come up with in terms of trying to kind of stand out versus, say, competitors in the space? Would you look at like category entry points or certain types of like buzzwords that you mention, or what have you found in the past that's been effective for kind of helping you to stand out versus competitors and gain more market share?
I will start with this, with the thing that is not working, first of all. So there is a fear communication in cybersecurity. And it's like you are going to be breached. You have already been breached, but you are not aware of it. And this sort of communication. So it's like building up the value on the top of creating a fear emperor. So that's something wrong to me and to my company, because at the end of the day, we are helping those professionals to solve a very solid problem, and threatening them with this tone of voice is very interesting because this is a nightmare that they are trying to avoid. When you say, hey, you are going to breach, or you are breached, but you don't know it, then it's a huge problem and there's no empathy in saying that thing. So first of all, we should be running away from this approach, something that I'm trying to do consistently throughout my career. I'm just trying to understand what is important for those people and which problem they are trying to solve. Because I know that if there is an incident, if there is a cyber incident, if there is a leak, if there is a breach, that's a huge trouble for. It's like, putting a building into a fire and watching the firemen to try to get rid of that fire. And you can't just say, hey, there will be a building and it's going to put into fire. To avoid this, do that. So we should avoid from that. And second part is there are different categories, there are different vendors and solution groups, and we all say the same thing. For example, we are protecting your enterprise data. We are providing cyber resiliency. We are doing blah, blah, blah. They are all buzzwords. When you go to, for example, RSA, which is one of the biggest cybersecurity shows in the world, or if you go to Black Hat, 2 weeks later I will be in Black Hat and I can take pictures and send to you. You will see very similar messages.
Yeah.
very buzz generic words to communicate what they avoiding those two is very important. First of all, fear, and the second is buzzwords.
Yeah, it's interesting as well because I guess from what you mentioned about like education being a big thing and knowing the sector and knowing the terminology and stuff, if you speak kind of in fear and you're marketing to a very educated audience, you probably lose credibility like very fast if everybody is doing that as well.
Yes. They immediately understand. Again, I said this again before, I think, so I will be repeating myself, but sorry. This is super important. Once you start talking with them, they immediately understand if you are trying to sell them a stuff or if you care about them.
Yeah.
And the important thing, because we are building products because we don't want to be rich. As a result of the process, people gain money, earn money. But the starting point is there is a problem and we are solving that problem. When we solve that problem, we see that the same problem happens in another enterprise and we solve that problem for that enterprise as well. Then it becomes a product. So at this point, our motivation is to suggest a solution, not try to sell something. And once you start talking sound marketing, talking sound sales, then there is no credit at that point. And one thing I realized, observing the field, good salespeople are the guys who come from technical background.
Yeah, that's an interesting one as well, because I guess the education piece, and I think a lot of people talk about Web3 and the blockchain as well, that it's very much that kind of, and correct me now if I'm wrong, if cybersecurity is different, but from people I talk to that work in Web3, they say, like, if you look at B2C or say certain software, SaaS, it's very much okay. You have the total addressable audience and then you kind of target based on your buying group. But if you take that and you go to Web3, it's more about like kind of collaboration of what are you building? What are the challenges that you're facing? How are you building something towards that? And then people are open to this like collaboration kind of, I've been working on this and this is what I'm trying to solve. Versus I have a subscription for this software and you should do a demo and trial it. It's more collaborative. Is that the same of what you see in cybersecurity as well?
100% the same.
Yeah.
I know CISOs, they have their WhatsApp groups, Telegram groups, and they are exchanging ideas with each other and they try a product and they suggest it to someone else, or they go to a conference, learn something new and then distribute the message to the other guys. And this is a community-based approach in cybersecurity because we are benefiting from each other's experience, backgrounds, opinions. So it is important to build community other than do marketing in cybersecurity.
Yeah. So from a marketing standpoint, then how do you look at that? Like, as let's say when you're looking at your plan for the year in marketing, and the community aspect is so important with it, then what way do you try and look to try and kind of like make sure that you're, a preference or that you're the brand that gets talked about when they are having those collaborative, whether it's community events or whether it's groups or so on? How do you look at that then from a marketing aspect to see that like your brand is there and your company is one of the ones that are like, whether it's sponsoring or whether it's being a part of those conversations?
Actually, we are doing a lot of community events. So it might be an industry event, or it might be led by us, or it might be organized with 2-3 partners or vendors. So this is something for marketing. But apart from that, we are trying to build communities for our technical folks. We are trying to create training groups, certain programs, learning programs, courses, so that we not only teach our product, but also teach the domain, teach the industry that we are working to the guys who want to learn more. Yeah. So this is like collaborating on learning also. We are learning from them. We are getting a lot of insight from our customers, prospects, partners, resellers, distributors, turning that into a solution. And then we are helping them learn about the domain and the product and the solution so that they can give us back. So it's like a win-win. And we are creating communities for technical people, for CISOs, for board members, decision makers in different ways.
Yeah, it's really interesting. With channels then, in terms of when you look at like your total addressable audience, do you, at the beginning of a year or something, would you say, okay, I know who I want to target at the beginning of the year. These are the companies that we want to go after, or what way do you look at it? Or is it more like, okay, we're going to go to this event, or from a pure like kind of total addressable market, what way do you kind of look and kind of evaluate in terms of to drive growth?
Okay, so I will answer this question from two different aspects. For example, for FileOrbis is in a major market.
Yeah,
So we know who the audience is, who the target audience is, who is the buyer group, who is the ideal customer profile. And I have a target list, and I will be going after those account with an account-based marketing strategy. It might be an event, it might be a digital ad, it might be an email campaign, or it might be a partner activity. But if I was on an emerging market, for example, AI-based solution, let me say, we have also a module called FileOrbis AI Enabler,
yep,
then there is no market at that part, and you should be shaping the market. At that point, I will be creating more generic, wide content and activities so that I can understand my audience first. So it depends on the activity, but for FileOrbis, we are mainly targeting ABM.
gotcha. And then for ABM, what do you find that's been most effective then for marketing? Is it like just running LinkedIn or doing like very targeted events, or what's been you found that's been useful?
Actually, it's a combination of all. So first of all, we start with building the persona, and we know who our persona is, whether
Yeah,
it's the blocker or decision maker, and we try to understand where they are spending time, where they want to consume content, or where they want to shake hands with us.
yeah,
Then, depending on that, we streamline our marketing activities. It might be a custom event, it might be a workshop, it might be a roundtable, it might be a very focused LinkedIn ad or a Google ad. But the important metric I am checking from my perspective is the intent in our website.
yeah.
So I would understand what sort of intent the people are going for.
So a lot that come to the website then, and then you kind of see what the intent is there.
Mhm. Yeah,
And then from say like from now with the shift and the change of like SEO and LLMs, are you seeing a big change in terms of like how traffic and people are coming to the site, and like how they're kind of like educating themselves about the product, about the sector as well,
yeah.
before say they talk to someone in the company?
Yes, the thing is, we are investing a lot to SEO. I really want to share one insight with you, and that is the guys who are coming through using AI tools like
Yeah,
GPT or Gemini or Perspect, they convert at a huge rate. For example, for example, 100 visitors came into my website, and 50% of them are converting into demand.
yeah,
Uh,
which
if
is
they are coming through AI, which is great.
yeah, 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 for sure. Which I imagine, like, if you compare that just to a couple of years ago with SEO
Yeah.
or SEM, even it's like it's a lot less. I would assume anyway than that.
It's still less when
Yeah,
compared to the traffic coming from AI, and which gives us a very straight direction to go and invest to the AI
yeah,
optimization options more than anything else if you are doing something online.
yeah. How do you see with working with like the team around, and we see it with a lot of sectors in B2B now in the last say 12 months is around the B2B creators, and with LLMs of like kind of, you know, you as a company, you obviously have your case studies and all those things. But then also there's the other component of like, if other people are talking about the brand, if other people are referencing it favorably through creators or through other people that are endorsing it, that can help with the LLMs and recommending with prompts. But do you see, or have you tested with B2B creators, and have you seen any success there so far for cybersecurity specifically?
Thought leaders are always a good way of creating trust in the
Yeah,
industry. And I have tested in different companies, in different roles, and it
yeah,
always worked, and it's still working, and it's going to work because people tend, we are at the end of the day, even that's an enterprise, we are selling to people, and
yeah,
people care about other people, other folks' opinions more than anything else. For example, we have a huge visibility in Gartner Peer Insights.
yeah,
Gartner Peer Insights is the place where the industry professionals go and put their reviews about a specific product or solution, and it has been verified by Gartner that that client is real. And the review is also real. It's not written by someone else. They check their LinkedIn, they check their email, as they do multiple validations. So when I go and talk to a customer, they ask, hey, can I see your reviews in Gartner? Or can I see your industry reports? Have you been referred by someone else? Who's saying what about you? So this thought leadership, B2B influencing is super important in cybersecurity as well.
Yeah. And have you looked at like kind of even doing like kind of paid thought leadership in terms of promoting, working with creators on LinkedIn or even people within your own company as well? If you found like success with that?
Yeah, it depends on the content. If you have content that should be delivered with that channel, it resonates a lot and it converts a lot. And I have tried that in different research and in different, papers, white papers especially, and it works really good.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because it's some people will tell you like, if you talk to someone in pure SaaS, they say like white papers are a thing of the past. They don't work. People don't consume them. But if you look at a sector like cybersecurity, from what you mentioned, that education and collaboration is like key. It's not necessarily about like the quick hacks. It's more about building trust and having a good basis of education, sources of information, and so on. That helps you build trust with the customer. So obviously a white paper that's well researched, has a lot of useful information, will resonate with an audience like that. Whereas maybe with another audience, if it's a very simple SaaS tool, it does one or two things very good. It's a different kind of approach, I guess, as well. So it's always interesting, I think, to see that, like, yes, some trends are different, but other trends are actually, white papers are just as relevant now as they were years ago if you're targeting the right audience with the relevant content.
Yeah, it's working. I would like to say something about this topic. So if I want to convert a demand to a POC, I need to touch the same guy, same account around 30 times.
Yeah.
30 is a huge number.
Yeah.
So which means they need real education.
Yeah.
So for education, you need content. Content might be in video format. Content might be in white paper format. It might be like a thought leadership, a paid B2B partnership. It doesn't matter, but you need to focus on different steps of that journey. So if you have to touch to the same guy for 30 times, you need to be creative enough.
Yeah, definitely.
Go and knock the door.
Yeah. No, it's true. I think in ABM, in a lot of cases, it's like when I worked in LinkedIn, we would do an analysis on different sectors within B2B. And like the before and after, in terms of like, we'd have this XY axis in terms of like ripe accounts that are like have been engaged, and then once they link that with the CRM and the data, it'll have a direct impact within like 3 to 6 months. But the key thing that made that possible was the increase in frequency. Making sure that like they're seeing that whatever that kind of format of the content is, whether it's a white paper, whether it's a video, whatever it may be, it does have an impact over a period of time. Yeah.
Same for cybersecurity, because our sales cycle is very long.
Yeah.
When you close a deal in 3 months, then that's a super good time.
Yeah.
3 months is great. It goes to 9 months, 12 months in very big, even it's like 1 year, 2 year.
Yeah.
Once this sales cycle is that much high, I'm not saying this specific for FileOrbis, this is specific to all enterprise customers in cyber. And so in that period, with a lot of different buying groups in the same account, you need to touch them in a basis, in a frequency, so that you educate them, you remind yourself to those people in a proper way, in a consistent way. So you need to use LinkedIn, you need to use email, you need to use, for example, digital ads, maybe Reddit, different channels. Yeah,
no, it's definitely about keeping the scope wide. That's for sure. Predictions for the future then, Gamze. What do you think in terms of B2B, specifically in cybersecurity? What are you excited about over the next, say, 6 to 18 to 24 months? Where do you think the sector is headed?
So I see in cybersecurity in the past years, there has been a lot of acquisitions and mergers. So I think this trend will continue. But I see that a lot of AI-based, AI-driven companies are now in the field, in cybersecurity field. Their number will increase because the adversaries are also using AI, and the guys who are on the protection side, they need to heavily depend on AI tools as well. So there will be new startups, but the marketing function of those startups will be very small teams. And I think they will be heavily focusing on AI. They will be heavily using AI. And the skills in marketing teams in cybersecurity will primarily include good AI skills.
Yeah.
Because while we are checking the resumes, I check if they are good with AI tools, if they are able to use a AI tool to create visual, AI tool to create good content or write good prompt, etc., etc. So this will be super important. And the good marketing teams will not born and grow in big enterprises. They will born in small startups and grow there, and there will be a rapid growth in those startups as well.
Yeah. So you see kind of a consolidation, no? But like the startups that are leveraging AI then can really kind of, what would I say, like kind of go up and kind of take market share then over time as they prove their effectiveness in enterprise.
Yeah.
Right. Interesting. Anything else then in terms of what you're excited about for B2B? Any particular tools, events, anything B2B that you're like, that's going to grow more, or that's something to watch out for?
Understanding the intent will always be the game changer in B2B marketing. Any investment done for intent data will be very, very important. And there are a lot of tools out there that we can use for that perspective to understand or to prospect the guys to understand if they will be a good target account, especially for account-based marketing. And I see that a lot of improvements are done thanks to AI in that field. And it's going to be better every time. And the other thing that excites me a lot is, even though there are a lot of bad guys out there are a lot of improvements in the protection side. There are a lot of regulations to keep data safe, keep cyber environments safe, keep kids safe. So that's the good thing. And I hope to see more regulations around AI usage as well. And we are expecting to see more, not restrictions, but regulations on the AI so that we are using AI for good.
Yeah. I think that's really important as well because it's moving so fast. Gamze, it was a pleasure to have you on the show. I learned a ton. If anyone wants to see your content, get in touch, hear more about cyber security, where are you most active, on which social platforms?
On LinkedIn.
On LinkedIn.
Direct this Gamze Karsli and find me there.
Perfect. Great. All right. Well, listen, thanks again for joining us on the show. It was great speaking with you.
Thanks, Marcus. Have a good day.
Thanks.